Use the Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna?
Cause it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
Well, it's Wednesday night, and Wednesday night means FrostCast, and we're going to do episode 16. Different topics tonight. I feel like we're going to hit in a bunch of different areas today. You saw the thumbnail. We're going to talk about some Star Wars. I apologize ahead of time. Tempers are likely to flare. Names and insults are likely to be hurled, but we're going to do it anyway because we'll try to be semi-civil. So let's bring Kingsley in and get this show on the road. Welcome back, brother. How are we doing today?
Doing all right. Glad to be here. It's been a long week already, so we saw the end of one of our favorite shows, the last episode this week. It's been one of those type of weeks.
Dude, you want to just talk about the Penguin for another hour? We can do that. I got another hour of that show in me easily. No question. No,
if you missed what we're talking about, we did an hour and 15-minute live stream for the finale. It went up Monday. If you want to go back and check it out, it's on the channel, so go give it a watch.
Watch the episode first, though, if you didn't, because we get into like instant spoilers in that one. I think we actually formally ran our spoiler alert thing because we meant business on that. Like, there's no way to talk about this episode and decompress from what popped off without naming names and breaking down events. So yeah, definitely go check that out, guys. I think Kingsley and I were in agreement. It's easily our show of the year, and we're predicting, if not, and is it Golden Globes or Emmys? I can never keep what does what straight, or is it both for TV?
So Golden Globes does both movies and TV. The Emmys are strictly TV, and then the Academy Awards are strictly movies.
And the Academy Awards are the Oscars, like the nickname for the Academy Awards is Oscars.
Yes.
I always mix them up. So we're basically guaranteeing nominations at least. And if it gets snubbed for nominations, there's no justice in Hollywood. None.
No.
Because there's like three people. Right. There's like three people on the cast that deserve like noms for the for actors. And then on top of that, best writer, best director, but all that stuff, it earns out on all those two.
Yes.
Like we did the whole, I think you kids are still saying this, and I remember when King Z started using this expression, give all the flowers to it. I'm like, that's the dumbest expression I've ever heard, but I get it. Whatever, we'll use it. We handed them out all episode run. I mean, all show run long.
All show run.
Behind the scenes. Oh, the set director said this. That was brilliant. I could listen to her talk about her job for an hour. And that was just that one person. And then the hair guy comes in, and then the craft services guy comes in, and he's like, here's what we ate when we made the Penguin. And I'm like, oh, that really makes sense. A lot of thought went into that. We can honestly talk about that. I mean, dude, it was like that. I would literally listen to them talk about the spread before I would go back and watch a minute of that show. You know what show I'm talking about. Now we're going to talk Star Wars with King Z, right?
Yes, we are.
I'm going to do my best to dance around the show that almost broke his soul as bad as Ahsoka. Because it was close. He didn't get all the way there.
No.
But it was close. Ahsoka broke him. This one just kept him down. So we'll see if we can do Star Wars without somebody quitting the show and me having to find a new co-host. But what we've done over the last few weeks, really, is we've tried to move away from regurgitating a bunch of the similar kind of news that was just out there. There's other bigger channels that are more entrenched that get early access. They can scoop things and they give really good coverage. You guys should go check out whoever you like. So over the last few weeks, we've kind of backed off of the low-level rumor mongering stuff. But this week, a couple stories came through, out of LucasFilms. They're too big not to talk about if you're just a fan of genre in general, Star Wars in particular, which King Z and I both are. Classic Star Wars, not Disney Star Wars, for the most part.
There is
this story. Oh, dude, there's a hard line, and it's basically anything after Rogue One and Mando season 2. Like, that's the line. I think it's Mando season 2, pretty much. Yeah. Is that line? It's a pretty delineated line in the sand. This story evolved because when I told you I wanted to do this and I had made the thumbnail, we kind of just throw the joke up there. It's And then I said 3 more movies. Mwahaha! Kathleen Kennedy, evil laugh. It evolved because I don't know. I don't think I sent you this article. I've had a stupid busy work week, like we were just talking about. But
Yeah.
the story evolved, and I think there's an interview, and I think it was in Variety is where I saw it, that somebody at Lucasfilms, I don't think it was Kennedy. So just to be fair, I'm not going to just throw her name under the bus for everything, right? Is that somebody said, we recognize internally that Rey Skywalker is our most valuable cinematic asset that we have going forward. So the story started with, we're not just going to have one more movie. We're going to have at least that in a trilogy. And then the double down that Rey is the best thing we have going for it. This story just kind of exploded everywhere on YouTube as everybody's literally taking their shots and throwing in 2 cents. So I said, I got to get King Z's take on this because I know he's becoming not any easier on criticizing Lucasfilms, that's for sure. But
No.
we've had enough time away from Star Wars related topics heading into Skeleton Crew, which is, we're trying to go in open-minded like we do for shows, especially shows with younger actors, because we realize if seasoned professionals can only do what they can do with crappy scripts, we can't hold them to a higher standard. You know what I mean? So what's your take so far, Star Wars related? And then we'll just get into whatever angle Star Wars we got to go and run with it.
So one of the things we saw, and I agree that probably going forward, Rey is their best asset. She's a likable character. She did what the actress is a very likable person. She has that charisma that she could carry a movie if written properly. If you don't just give her just do space wizard things and then jump from MacGuffin to MacGuffin type thing. I think she could definitely carry it, and they are completely right. She is all they had. They burned all the bridges with Mando, Grogu movie coming out, with their failed experiment in the High Republic. I think this is where they have to go is future. And now I did find this one article on Screen Rant talking about this and how this could be an insult to both Rey and Daisy Ridley. And the reason why is because some people are calling this new trilogy going to be episode 10 through 12, where others are saying it's going to be a standalone trilogy with her in it. And they're thinking that it might pull her out of the end of the Skywalker side or the sequel trilogies, which I don't understand how they can come to that conclusion that it would pull her out or make her less in that trilogy by making this new one about her if you just go into the future. So I don't understand what Screen Rant's going with this. But the main thing that I took out of this was the person they're bringing in to pretty much right the ship. And his name is Simon Kinberg.
Kinberg,
yes. Yep. If we scroll down here, you see they're talking about all sorts of rumors with this. It was supposed to be the Star Wars New Jedi Order. It was supposed to be one future movie. And you said now they're going to do 3 more movies based on what this guy has planned. Because I guess what they did is they pulled him in, and he said that he can't do it in 1. He needs to do it in 3.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that detail. Okay.
So, I mean, he does come from a good pedigree of writers, and he's also a producer as well. He's produced a lot more stuff than he's written. So they bring him in to keep producing. So if he takes over the producer role, he does have chops in that. But in his writing, which they said that he's going to be the new writer, he's written the Mr. and Mrs. Smith show and movie.
Movie good, show not so good.
He's written for X-Men, pretty much all the new X-Men movies, like Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix.
Definite not banger.
He wrote the really bad Fantastic Four one with Miles Teller in it.
He actually bat cleanup on that. Josh Trank wrote and directed that. So Kinberg again came in to back cleanup. So you're right. This is kind of his bag. And I think he did that for a couple of those X-Men movies as well, where they were mid-production and they had to cut loose. They had to cut somebody loose. And then he came in and bat cleanup. So he's a specialist for this kind of thing. Yeah. So I don't know.
And one of the
open.
His really good one that I liked that he wrote was the Sherlock Holmes movie with RDJ in it. That first one.
Yeah, the second one was a little weak, but the first one that's a multiple rewatch for me. I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and
It was a damn good movie.
And if you go back to real early, his second thing he wrote, his first feature, was Triplet's State of the Union, the one with Ice Cube in it, not Vin Diesel.
That was the bad one of that.
So
I think that's what it is. He's a cleaner. You know what I mean? Like there's a job underway. Somebody screws up. They call in the wolf. Well, shit, that's all you had to say. You know, and this guy shows up and at least gets things wrapped. That way they can try to turn a profit. You know, back when things were on physical media, it was probably a lot easier. But there's so much to unpack with this topic about where they're going. First, I just want to say I completely disagree with the entirety of what you said up front. I think, and maybe you misspoke. Daisy Ridley as an actor, whatever, she's fine. But the Rey character is broken beyond repair and is literally the face of brand damage for the last decade. I think we need to do exactly what you said in your second half, which was we need to pretend none of this ever happened and just do 3 movies or a new film 200 years in the future. And you can verbally reference the Jedi archives, the Empire, an enigmatic figure that came back to save the rebellion, but you never need to connect direct ties to it. Kind of like what I didn't like about when you came on and helped produce the Romulus review we did. I'm like, oh, this movie's chugging right along. It's covered a lot of familiar ground, but there's enough new stuff. And then boom, final act, we got Black Goo, we got Prometheus shit, we got Covenant shit, and half of the audience jumps right off the bus when that happens. Automatically, it's got a reflex. So, I mean, I don't need more of Rey doing anything. And the other nonsense that I heard about the Rey stuff in the multiple movies is they're trying to slate her into the Grandmaster Obi-Wan role. I'm like, bro, she didn't work as Luke. Why are we throwing her in to work as Obi-Wan? Like, nobody believes she's attained that level of, like, Force cred, you know, to put her in as the mentor for anybody. Like, I can't go for that. In a solo movie, if they go that route, like you said, man, what's on the table exactly? Is it still the thing that the Peaky Blinders guy just walked away from? Is that still a thing? And then there's a trilogy. Does that movie get folded into part 1 of the trilogy? Like, what's the angle here? You know, I think they're just saying stuff to say it.
For what I'm hearing is that there's nothing written. There's nothing written down. They were bringing people in, and of course, the PT Blinders left it for his own studio to do the PT Blinders movie, and probably a few movies in that world.
Multiple, from what I was reading, minimum 3 is what I was hearing, because they're all sold in on that.
So
that is Netflix, right?
Yes,
on Netflix.
Yes.
Yeah, Netflix has cash to do that. That tracks.
So we don't know what they're going to do with this movie, where they're going to put it. And I do believe Rey is redeemable. Her character can be redeemed. She could, grow. You can show that growth, like starting off in the first movie, of how she went from how the rise of Skywalker ended to where she is now at the beginning of this movie. The character itself can be redeemed with the proper writing. And she, I think, as an actress, could pull it off with from what I've seen of her. So that's where I think that this character is their most viable asset to move Star Wars forward.
I think those 2 points, I would back you on those. So there's nothing good writing can't do. But the problem is these situations are business decisions now, and they exist beyond the scope of the blank page, where now you have to convince an audience that you've compromised for a decade to give you a shot to see the new improved writing. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that they couldn't bring in somebody that knows Star Wars, that likes Star Wars, because you need that. We've talked about that a bunch. You and I wouldn't go write a bunch of Harlequin romance novel conversions to movies because it's not our genre. We haven't read them. We don't know them. We don't understand their conventions, what makes them work. I don't have any outward disdain for them, which I guess gives me a leg up on hiring somebody like the recent crop of people they've hired that outwardly do not like the male power fantasy that Star Wars is, being like the nobody that acquires a rare, unique skill and has a destiny. There are people that outwardly hate the hero's journey working on this stuff, and they're not right for it. So if we found people that were right for it, we still have to convince King Z, the Oracle, Winter Wolf, and all of us to go spend $50 at the movies to go see it. And I think that's the holdup for Rey as an asset. She, like I said, she's the face of brand damage, wrongly so, but like they wrote her into that.
But that would be my next point, is that they haven't even written anything yet. So we're looking at 2 to 3 years before they even start filming. And
minimum,
then,
if they're still doing this Rey Solo thing. Yeah.
So when did Rise of Skywalker come out?
19, wasn't it 2019, same year as Endgame? It was 3 months after Endgame, I think. We're going on like 5 years of no Star Wars, dude. Like,
yeah, so it would be like 7
19
years without a Star Wars movie. Now, I think the next one will be Mandalorian and Grogu will be the next Star Wars movie. Yeah. But I think they'll be far enough
removed.
Yes.
I got you, bro. I got you.
From the Jedi trilogy to start something new that could bring in a whole bunch of new fans and still appease the current fans.
I mean, I guess we definitely got to keep our fingers crossed on that, because I would like to see them shelve this 10 years hardline minimum. Like, I don't think 7's enough, especially because we're still contending with their oversaturation on the small screen, where there's still a Disney Plus product seemingly popping out a Star Wars show at least once a year. And we're coming off the back of like the worst one they've ever had. We don't know where Skeleton Crew is going to fall. I think at best, Skeleton Crew gets away with something of a free pass, and just not a lot of people give it a shot. Like, almost in the same way that Andor wasn't given a shot, right or wrong, because that came on the heels of Solo, and people were like, nope, we'll show you not to mess with some shit. You know what I mean? We were still in that mode. So Skeleton Crew might be like, all right, well, you've dunked on all the rest of our shows that we wanted to be good, and they weren't good. So The Acolyte was terrible. Why am I going to watch Goonies in space? Because Goonies in space sounds fun. Like, at a core level, like if you sent that across my desk and sent me the pitch, I'd be like, Goonies in space, kids isolated from their parents, they got to figure some stuff out. A Jedi might help them along their way. There's danger and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Like, you could put an 80s spin on that Stranger Things style. I'd be down. But again, I wonder how many people in their target demo, or their should be target demo, is still us. Like, the magic modern audience they think exists are replacement fans of kids that are like 12 that don't have attachment to like the OG trilogy. Like, that hasn't been there for them. And you can tell because they don't move the merch to back that up. Like, the toy sales come from guys with disposable income that buy like $500 statues of this shit now. Like, no one's out there buying Kenner, 8-inch figurines anymore with the no bendy arms. They swivel at the shoulder. Remember those?
No, actually,
not the good G.I. Joe ones.
Their merch comes a lot from Lego, actually. The Lego models.
Yep.
Of the ship.
But that's about it.
Like that.
Right, but I mean, like, there's like, when was the last time you seen a Star Wars lunchbox on a kid? Dude, I just went trick-or-treating 2 weeks ago, right? I saw one Kylo Ren mask. You know what I mean? And when I asked that kid why he was Kylo Ren, he goes, because Vader wasn't in stock. That didn't happen. I don't want to be that guy. Okay, you got me on that one, but it could have, right? Like, I go to a couple of comic conventions a year. I go to the big one in Boston. I go to the big one in Rhode Island. I missed it this year. It was last weekend. There's no cosplay in there right now for anything Star Wars beyond the occasional you get a stormtrooper, like somebody that's trying to run like the 501, like the really good cosplay stuff. But there's no Reys. There's definitely no Ahsokas. There's no Kylo Rens. There was no, who was the weirdo sex offender guy from Acolyte? I don't even remember his name now. Smilo Ren. I don't remember his actual character name.
The Stranger.
Okay, there it is. You know what I mean? Nobody tried that. Nobody was the Emperor. Nobody was Vader. Nobody did the Leia cinnamon bun ears. So I think Star Wars isn't there for young folks like that. I think they need us back first, so I get hyped and take my 8-year-old, and you take your cousins, nephews, church group, volunteer group. You take a couple of these kids, say, this stuff's great. You guys need to see this. These are the stories that are going to make you believe, It's not this current crap of shit. It's just not. They don't have it. The magic's not in there.
But you always know, absent makes the heart grow fonder. And like with the removal, I think it could be like how excited people were when Force Awakens came. No matter how bad it was, that movie was destined to do good at the box office.
Yeah. And it did. I mean, I think it hit 2.5 billion. I think it was 2.5. Like, it went yard. Like, no question. But I think the shine wore off of that quick. And I think that every single time I'm reminded, and we've run this graphic a few times. I didn't have it handy for today, where where we have Kathleen Kennedy saying, "Oh, we don't have source material going back, so we could draw from these." I'm like, lady, just stop. If tomorrow, Star Wars is in such a rough spot right now that if tomorrow she came out and said, "Hey guys, we got Sebastian Stan to be Luke, we've got pick a hot redhead to be Mara Jade. We're going live action with Luke and Mara Jade. Like, we're going to tell you that story." If you told me that 10 years ago, I'd have bought 15 tickets in advance. I'd have been like, "Oh, Star Wars is back. Let's do this." But now I'm like, they're just going to mess it up. Like, they're going to make Mara Jade better than him. They're going to make him TLJ, titty milk, drinking bum. You know what I mean? She'll probably still work for the Emperor and keep that job and not switch sides. So I don't even think like something big like that could swap them. Because I saw a headline today, Star Wars involved in our topic here. There's a rumor that they've approached Mace Windu for a live action. That they've approached Samuel L. Jackson for live action Mace. Like, this dude's 97 years old. Like, do we need that? Do we need that movie? I mean, did you see him in Secret Invasion? He sat down the whole show.
Liam Neeson is like pushing 90 and they still have people messing with his family. So
I don't know. Leave these guys alone. They're going to stroke out like Sal did on the Penguin. Get a couple of good punches and then they're going to just seize right out. I mean, we're going to bring we're still bringing Gerard Butler back. Happy 55th birthday to Gerard, I think, today. What's fallen this week besides him and being unable to get up? There's got to be young jack dudes in Hollywood that can fulfill these roles. Like, we can't get any like qualified young black actor male to be young Mace Windu. We can't. That guy doesn't exist somewhere. Like what is going on? Like, it's beyond me. But that's what I mean. I don't even trust that they tell a good story with that character who's an interesting character in the lore.
So if you did take one of the legends of the books, which one do you make?
See, I admittedly haven't read a lot of them in my adult era. I read a few of them as a teen. I really liked Tales of the Cantina. There was the Bounty Hunter Tales, whichever one that was. But that's an anthology, so I get why that wouldn't be a go-to. I've read the Heir to the what now?
Heir to the Empire.
Heir to the Empire. I was going to say Heir to the Throne. I've read that a few times. I like that, but that should have been the sequel trilogy. Like, that's not Legends to me. So I'm trying to catch up on some of that stuff now, where I have a couple of the Rogue Squadron books. I honestly don't know which one I would pick because I didn't get around to those like as a young adult. I was big into gaming at that point. Wasn't reading as much. Should have been reading. Was gaming like an idiot. So I defer to you. Like, if there's a Legends book to bring out to us, which is it?
I think iJedi would be a good one for a standalone movie that you could have bring Sebastian Stan in as Luke, have Mara Jade, and see the collapse. And like, you get to see a couple of the new Siths that actually broke away from his Jedi Academy. So I think iJedi would be a good one.
Is that still in print? Could I grab that somewhere? I could probably grab that at like a used book site, right? I'm gonna check that down. iJedi. I might peep that. That sounds interesting. I mean, because something like that works. I mean, there's plenty of the games too that they could adapt. They've taken a poke at it. Like, they're still trying to get. They've talked a bunch of times about getting Revan from Knights of the Old Republic into movie form. I'd be down for that. But I think it's hilarious that the rumor that gets attached is, let's get Brie Larson to be Revan. What? Why'd you do that?
Because Disney recycles the people that they use. All of them do. I mean,
recycle a dude.
They have Max uses the same people over and over again in their type of shows. So
I get that, but like, get them right. Like, there's no shortage of people that can do that. So I mean, that's one. Any of the Rogue Squadron games typically had some stories that would work. Shadows of the Empire, old school Nintendo 64 game, has a banger story that gets into like the criminal underworld that runs adjacent with the Hutts. Like, it's a whole different. I think it was Black Sun. I think was the criminal org in that with Prince Shizor. There's stuff you can do. If you're trying to move forward or away from Skywalkers, there's stuff you can do. But I think you're right. If they want to get people back on board, they need to hit the Skywalker stuff, the quality stuff hard. Commit to a good casting, commit to good writing, no modern message, because nobody's here for it. The world's changing. The pendulum is swinging the other way. All that kind of stuff is dropping off. And what we're going to get for the next year and a half is just the remnants of that line of thinking. You know what I mean? The old stuff, the messaging stuff. I think people are trying to get back to profitability, and Star Wars should absolutely throw their hat in that ring. I don't know why they wouldn't be interested in it, because even if their goal was that kind of social engineering that we kind of rail about here sometimes, like if no one's going to watch your propaganda piece, like you're not getting your message out. So you're spending $400 million for nothing. You know what I mean? Like you're not effective with your engineering. So, but yeah, I think that's Star Wars in a nutshell. Lots to come, because we do have Skeleton Crew coming out. There's an earnings call at I think at Disney. I think it might be tomorrow actually. So they tend to make announcements there to, like, you know, build up investor excitement and get a little bump on the various stock exchanges. So there's definitely more to come for Star Wars, and we're definitely covering. We've already decided here on the channel, Skeleton Crew will be one of our weekly follows. We're actually going to balance our time and do Skeleton Crew concurrently with Dune Prophecy. So there's lots coming from Winter Wolf's Den, because King Z volunteered us for Dune Prophecy. Like, what the hell is that? Isn't that a game? Isn't that a game coming next January? He's like, no, it's a show. Oh, cool. When's it start? He's like, next Sunday. I'm like, all right, then let's do it. Cool. I guess so. We'll do it. I'm kind of hyped for that, but I don't know enough about it to even beyond that. You told me it was Benny Gesserit, and that's all I know. So I have no opinion right now.
And it's also like it's
prequel.
like early Empire, early Arrakis.
You said it's Paul's grandfather's related story, right? Like it's not his dad as a younger guy. It's his grandfather.
Yeah,
in that time frame.
It's more going to focus on the Emperor. So
okay.
They're just characters in it. Is not focused on them. It's not in a
it's on the Atreides story. Oh, okay. I don't think you told me that the other day. Cool. But I'm with that, because that's just showing me more of the world, which I'm interested in. You know, we talk about that all the time, about world building and how you can start small. And we just talked about this with the Dresden Files last week. How books 1 and 2, nice and tight, core setting, core characters. And then books 3 and 4, like, wait a minute, there's fairy courts. Wait a minute, there's multiple vampire houses. And you're like, all right, I can handle this. It's enough addition. And then you get to 5, 6, and 7. You're like, dump the whole bucket out, whole thing. And I'm still in, if you bring him in, effectively. So Dune Prophecies is that's our next thing, but on the Star Wars thing to wrap up the topic. Skeleton Crew starts, we've said this 50 times, December 7th. 7th!
Wait, you might be right on December 3rd.
Don't we have a fact checker? Send it to the Oracle.
The Oracle's on it. She will have us the right time in just a second.
Yeah, there we are. And she can type it in the chat and make us look all official. Put it up on the screen. Yeah. We're big time in it now. Big time in it. Everybody else along for the ride.
If you haven't noticed, we have a new person along on the crew. We have the Oracle. She is going to be overwatching our streams. She's going to be handling all of our behind the scenes stuff, getting our graphics up, all of our chat. And there it is. Look at that. And December 3rd, you were right.
8 episodes, 20 minutes apiece, live action cartoon. But again, it's kids. So if this hits like the Percy Jackson show, I'm in.
It really could.
It could. Because that show was very effective, economical use of its time, because a lot of their run times were in that 26-minute range. And once we trim what we trim, you know, they told a good enough story. But I think that show, for wherever there was weak writing on Percy Jackson and differences from the lore, and we had a couple of people, and we're great. If you guys are still out there, we're grateful for that. They were fact checking us in the chat and be like, oh no, and this happened in this book. This character they made up for the show. That was really effective. Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate that. But that show, the Percy Jackson show, was carried by the kid actors, especially Percy Jackson. Mm-hmm. Like, I still remember, though, we called them like hero scenes, where like you get a 10-year-old kid, 12 or however old he was, is stepping up and making hero plays at peril to himself. I'm like, that's what I want. I need to see that. And he didn't do it at the detriment of the rest of the people. Right. And that's what I mean. It was sacrificial. It was reverent to protect his friends and to finish the quest. So if Skeleton Crew can balance Goonies stuff, which admittedly didn't have a lot of that epic hero's journey stuff. It didn't need that. That wasn't the kind of story it was. It was a treasure hunt.
It was a treasure
You
hunt
know?
story,
Right.
or a travel log type story. You would
Right,
go with.
but it was, but I don't remember Mikey, putting it on the line versus the Fratelli, so like Dana could get away.
Yeah.
It wasn't that kind of story. Although they worked together in a group though, with that bickering banter, Stranger Things, down the line kind of vibe.
And Data kind of made the hero move with slit shoes.
Yeah, slick shoes and the boxing glove. Boxing glove to the face is funny. So I mean, he did. But I think Bran, if the Fratellis didn't have guns, Bran was in his prime. He probably could have taken a couple of them.
Oh, he definitely could have took Francis. Definitely could have took Francis.
Saying, dude. I mean, yeah, maybe not the one because he wasn't the one doing the welding work. The dude with the welding work played like multiple gangsters, multiple FBI agents, and a bunch of roles. That dude would have kicked his ass because that was his pre-Thanos era. Like Bran didn't have a shot. That dude would have roughed it. And even Mama Fratelli, I don't think I'd have tangled with her either.
No.
And I'm not a small guy, but Mama Fratelli didn't look like she was messing around. What? Slap, double slap.
Yeah.
Get fucking around there. But yeah, that's Skeleton Crew. We'll get to that. We're going to shift gears. It's going to get a little solemn for a minute, guys, and we apologize, but these things happen. It's some circle of life stuff. So, we got to put on that kind of mind frame. If we can maybe bring up the picture. This week, I think it was yesterday, we said goodbye to Hollywood legend, in my opinion, Tony Todd. This dude ran the 90s as not only a lead, but as a supporting actor from small screen to big screen to voice acting in various things, including video games, right up until like last year's Spider-Man 2. He was the voice of Venom. Tony Todd was in a bunch of stuff that I loved in the 90s growing up. Mostly people will remember him as Candyman, clearly.
Yeah.
Because that was like mega, like going to a video store and getting a VHS rental. Like Candyman was always there in the hard shell. You know what I mean? On VHS, for sure. Like it was that era. So he had that presence. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got that semi James Earl Jones deep voice. He's got the screen presence of, and I can't remember this actor's name. He played Animaeus in Spartacus. You know what I mean? He was he was Battiatus's right hand man. Another black actor. Sorry, I can't remember his name. He's done a couple other things. He was in Jason X of all things. Pops in the head. He was the drill sergeant. But Tony Todd had that voice, had that presence. He showed up again in Final Destination as the semi-death character, like the weird caretaker mortician that told them what was happening. And you thought it was going to become like a slasher flick, but it didn't because it wasn't him. But he was in good stuff like that. He was in Night of the Living Dead, like the colorized 1990 remake as the final guy in that. Lots of good stuff. Star Trek Next Generation. I know you're not a big Trek guy. Hey, Travis, what's up, dude? How's it going, guys? Tony Todd was a highlight of Final Destination films, and I always remember as the Fallen, dude. I just read that an hour ago on his Wikipedia page. I had no idea he voiced the Fallen in that. I was shocked because I think they added some kind of gravelly filter to him because it kind of took away his normal just low tones. Because to me, Tony Todd's voice, like you just said, is that dude from Final Destination or is Kern from Star Trek Next Generation, Worf's brother. You know what I mean? That's one of my, dude, anytime he turned up, I'm like, all right, dude, this is going to be a pretty good episode because it tied into one of my favorite characters, Wound. As we are always talking about the writing craft on the show, like Worf's wound on TNG was he was discommoded from his society. He was basically exiled.
Yeah.
So he didn't think he had a family left. He didn't know he had a half brother or brother at all. So when they introduced Kern, I'm like, all right, this connects for me. It works. It develops something that was broken in one of the characters I like the most. So Tony Todd did that on TNG and Deep Space Nine. It was always cool to see them come back in. But dude, Kingsley, what you got on Tony Todd?
So Tony Todd had the voice and the presence. You couldn't miss him because it's such an iconic voice and iconic, like he just took the screen when he was there. Like you would always drew to him. And I always remember him for his voice. His voice was freaking outstanding. He was in Deep Space Nine. He was also the adult version of
Jake Sisko.
Jake Sisko. Yep. He was
I can name the episode.
He was the right-hand man in The Rock of the Marines that
right.
took over Alcatraz.
That's right.
He was Rocket Man.
Something about winners and prom queens, something like that, if I remember that movie right.
That was Sean Connery to Nicolas Cage.
You damn Skippy.
He was also in The Crow.
That's right. He was the right-hand villain to Top Dollar.
Yeah.
That's right. Dude,
Yeah.
great eye, dude. Great remember. Great wiki look up.
But yeah, he passed away at 69. He was 3 weeks from his 70th birthday.
That Deep Space Nine episode, I'm going to take a shot see if I remember the name. I'm guessing it was The Visitor, if he was adult Jake Sisko. And if I remember that episode correct, it was another good one because Jake Sisko was Captain Ben Sisko's son, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because where we always had the starship thing in Star Trek, Deep Space Nine was obviously the station. So we got a better look at how the family unit would function within the little society around the station, things like that. And Captain Sisko and Jake always had a solid relationship. Like he was a great dad. Like Ben Sisko was a great dad. This episode, The Visitor, was about a temporal accident. You guys that watch Trek know what temporal accidents are. Captain Sisko gets sucked into a timey kind of wimey thing and disappears. And in the prime timeline of that show for that episode, Jake Sisko forgoes all the things he was going to do with his life, like playing baseball, becoming a writer, all that stuff, and becomes like a nuclear physicist or whatever to understand the anomaly that got his dad so he could bring him back. And he's plagued with like visions of his dad almost coming back throughout the episode, like ghost style, until the very end when he figures it out and he gets to actually talk to his father, who sees his son as an old man and basically convinces him to let him go. Like, you wasted your whole life trying to bring me back, that you didn't get to live the life of your own kind of. It just hit. There was a lot of great episodes of DS9 that get no airtime credit, and it disappoints me. It was an absolute banger of an episode. I love that show. Deep Space Nine is top notch.
That was in a good era of Star Trek with
definitely
TNG and Deep Space Nine at the same time.
I got another one for Travis here. His most recent one I call was Scare. Oh, I lost it. Oh, I'm not going to touch it. Oracle, do your thing. I forgot you were there. It was Scareglow. Oh, dude, New Masters of the Universe was awful, though. I'm surprised he wasn't here in the 70s. Me too. I feel like he was a little bit older. I got suckered into that show. I don't think King Z was doing Winter Wolf's Den stuff at that point with the Kevin Smith affiliated Masters of the Universe thing in the bait and switch where it was the Tila show.
Yeah, I never watched it.
You didn't miss anything, in my opinion, Travis. If you liked it, I'm gonna give you the golf clap. More power to you. I love you, dude. I got to that midway point because they did the season break, and they were about to let Adam draw the sword and do the thing. And as he was doing the thing, Skeletor shanked him, and he didn't get to do the thing. I haven't signed out of Netflix that quick in years when that happened. I was out.
Yeah, we just have to remember that death has a pattern, and the pattern finally caught up with Tony Todd.
Probably too soon, but I'm gonna let it slide because I guess it makes sense.
Well, I mean, it's the whole thing in Final Destination.
You can't cheat it, and it's got a plan and a thing and another thing. But he died in his home, 70 or whatever, almost 70. He had a good run. Yeah. He'll be missed. He'll be missed. Tony Todd, everybody. King Z, I know this topic you kind of came up with. I was vaguely aware that I might want to talk about it, but I think you have a deeper knowledge cut of some things going on out of Marvel. Because again, apply all my disclaimery stuff from the beginning of the show where I said, we've kind of gotten away from it because the rumors haven't been big time enough, except for actual D23 with Doomsday, with Doom and RDJ. That was big, but that might be legit the last time we've talked about Marvels. We've talked about DC some lately with the James Gunn stuff, Creature Commando, some of these things coming out.
Yeah, we've talked a little here and there. Like we've talked about the Blade thing and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
There's been some more answers to that in a recent interview. If you don't know, this weekend is D23 Brazil, and Kevin Feige's doing the rounds in the Brazilian media, and a lot of these quotes that are coming out are from those interviews that's been translated. And one of the first things he was asked about was what's going to happen with Miles Morales. Now she's pulling up the quote right now, but yeah, what he said was that currently Miles Morales will appear in the third Spider-Verse movie, which is in production right now, which I can't wait for because I've enjoyed the first two movies.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's like, I'm hoping that shortly after that comes out, that they can find a way to bring Miles Morales to the MCU, because right now, like Spider-Man, he is still owned by Sony, and they've worked out the Sony MCU deal to have Spider-Man. Now they're going to try to work in Miles Morales. So, and we all heard about all the different things that have happened with Blade, and like right now that it's been put on the shelf, it's been pulled from the calendar, and what he was talking about in this interview was pretty iconic and stuff that we've talked about already. When they finished the Infinity Stone saga, they had the perfect wrap up of that. And then they really didn't know where to go next. And they try to figure it out as they did some of the shows like WandaVision, Hawkeye, stuff like that, just trying to build some momentum to find out what they were going to do next. And then they announced a whole bunch of movies prematurely that they were going to do, and then they realized a lot of the stuff they're putting out was lower quality than what Marvel was used to. So they started going back and looking at what they were doing, and they pulled some movies. Like there was a couple of shows and movies that were already in the can, and it got shelved. So right now we're seeing a little bit of resurgence of some of the stuff in the can because one, the writer strikes and the actor strikes really put a lot of production behind. So they have this stuff ready to go. That's why Ironheart is scheduled to be shown. And that's why Molecule Man, which I want to talk about in a second, will be showing as well. But what he said about Blade is like when they got to these multiverse saga that they're in now, he really didn't fit in the story anywhere after they decided the path they were going on. And they kept trying to plug him in, and they're like, well, it doesn't make sense to put him in there because they're going with quality and story and try to, one continuous story. So they've pulled him to go into the next era, which will be the Mutant Saga. So the movie's still going to be made. Everyone's still excited. They really want to use the Blade character, and they really want to use Ali. Was it Moses something Ali?
Mahershala.
Yeah.
Ali's the last name. Mahershala is the first name.
Yeah, Mahershala Ali. They really want to use him. He's really excited to play the role, but they're going to move it until they start the Mutant Saga. So it will happen after Secret Wars. So there's still a plan for the Blade movie. They just had to move it into a timeline where it actually made sense for it to come out, which he actually makes a lot more sense in the Mutant Saga than he does in the Multiverse Saga.
I mean, he really does. I like that bit of reasoning, but I wonder, and I'm not discrediting you reporting it that way at all. I wonder if there's any truth to this at all, because I feel like this would have been the thing I would have said 3 years ago, since they announced this movie 5 years ago. You know what I mean? And if I think it just, what it really does is solidify how poorly their vision for the phases after 3 were going forward. You know, because if you got to the end of phase 4 and we're like, oh, we're really into this multiverse crap, well, let's see what doesn't fit the multiverse, and let's shelve this now and get out of commitments now. Because what we got in like the wake of not doing that were all the reports about this guy left, this writer left, the star's pissed, he's not going to play fourth fiddle to his daughter and 2 other female leads, and all the other usual kind of stories that come up that kind of dump on these projects as they're in production or pre-production or whatever. We get all that nonsense, so this makes sense. I would say, if they were to have a separate, and I think they could have done this because they did this with Werewolf by Night, you make a tangential section of a phase and just do the horror stuff. Throw Midnight Suns over there. Put Werewolf by Night over there. Put Blade over there. They're on the Blood Hunt event in comics right now. Some of those books are okay. I've read a few. I don't know if you're picking any of these up just randomly just to see them. Like the Miles Morales Spider-Man one's okay. Black Panther, I hear, is pretty good in the Blood Hunt event. Dude, you and me both, dude. You and me both. Travis says he's done with the multiverse shit. Dude, I've been over that shit for about 5 years. Like, basically since it started, because all it does is, King Z is aware of it, just eliminates stakes. It just does. Oh, you lost your Iron Man in this universe? Borrow this one. Have an Iron Man. I'm not with that either. So I'm interested to see what they do with Blade, to see if they're legit going forward with that. The Spider-Man stuff, dude, I like the verse. I like the first one a lot. Yeah. I like the first one a lot. It's, again, whenever you get a good dad and son That's one of my favorite power-up scenes in history. Like the thing he needed to unlock the Venom strike was his dad giving him the speech and being like, you're great. Just go be great at whatever you do. And then he powers up and cue the music. Like, what's up, danger? Like that hits. That still hits. And I felt like the second movie didn't get quite there. It was going for it with his mom at the end a little. And I was like, surprise, there's another movie. You forgot there was 3. I'm like, oh shit, that's right. It is a trilogy. So there was I didn't get the same bang out of that movie. But dude, I wonder, like, is Miles successful in live action? Because like the books do okay. The video game didn't sell bangers. Spider-Man 2 didn't sell bangers, and he was a main character in that. I feel like this is like, if we put him out now, it's going to be on that same shit end of the stick that I'm worried that your new girlfriend Daisy Ridley is going to be on in her movie. You know, like it's too much brand damage, and I don't think, because I think he's just going to get all the crap. Oh, woke Spider-Man. Oh, token Spider-Man, and it's token to a degree, but like, I don't know. The verse convinced me that he could be a Spider-Man at least. But he's never going to replace Peter Parker. But I don't see why he was never meant to.
He was never meant to replace Peter Parker. He was supposed to be the Spider-Man.
They keep trying. But they keep trying to elevate him forward in all the books they put out, dude. They do.
Because he has his own universe. That's why. He's supposed to be the Spider-Man that wasn't supposed to be.
Right. But what I'm saying is how they handle the product. Like, I mean, real world, IRL. The way they promote and put these books out there and give certain things standing in places that they don't, or places where they should, it tends to favor Miles. But if you go into Target and go into a toy section, Miles's toys never say Spider-Man on them ever. Should always says Miles Morales, you know. But it's like, I think it could work, but I don't know. Like, you have to get a good actor that can pull off that vulnerable, geeky teenage thing that Peter Parker needs. I heard somebody say that, but Vic's like 46 in real life, dude. I hate to tell you, he's older than you are in real life. I don't think that could work. But I mean, it should though. I mean, he's got the look for it, and the actor obviously doesn't have the stutter. That's something he produced for the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I think he could do it. He seems like he could do genuine, awkward, vulnerable. But can he also do, like, when Spider-Man gets mad, when Miles Morales gets mad in costume, he's scary, like, because he can kill you. You know what I mean? Like, can he actually get there? Maybe I'd have to look up his body of work. What do we got? You read Travis for me, King. I got a drink.
The ballsy thing to do is to have a scene in Secret Wars where the fight goes into the animated universe and all the MCU characters are in the Spider-Verse style meets Miles.
Ooh. Oh, Travis is cooking. Dude, that's some 6D chess that they're not ready for. They ain't ready for that over there at DC, at MCU.
Maybe if Ryan Reynolds was in charge of it.
Well, then he's doing what? He's subverting our expectations, and we might have to shank him on that one this time. I don't think we can let that slide again. Not again, damn it, not again. That's a hell of an idea, though. I would like to see some ballsy stuff like that. But yeah, I think there's definitely room in the pantheon of live action for Miles, and I think that if they're going to take a crack at doing new things, why wouldn't it be that character? You know, like if they're going to go down the D list of solo flicks and She-Hulk gets a story, gets a show, fucking well, then get Miles to live action. Like that might get butts in seats, dude. This may be me being cynical. Does it pull off the same level of cultural appeal that Black Panther had? Like, does it bring out the black audience because finally Miles is in live action the same way they showed up for Chadwick Boseman in Black Panther? I mean, I think that's a legitimate business question to ask of the franchise. I think the answer might be yes. Like it could, you know,
he is
the urban vibe with the look, the music that they can tag with it.
And we had to agree that Miles Morales has one of the sickest Spider-Man suits.
Yeah, dude, I love the black, red, and white. Love it.
Yeah,
love it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I don't see why they couldn't do that, or how it's been this long and they haven't figured out that they should make that call to Sony to see if they can even make this happen. You know what I mean? Like, what year did Spider-Verse 1 come out? Like, has it been like 6 years, 7 years? It's been like, I think.
Well, yeah,
it's been a minute.
Because it's an animated film. They take longer because of the animation.
Oh, no. I don't mean the production time. I mean, how long has it been since it started? I mean, it's been like 7 years since the movie debuted. So
like
what
the
I'm saying
first one,
is,
yeah.
and and it's an animated movie that made like $1.5 billion. How did nobody at Marvel call Sony and be like, hey, can we hire the kid from Stranger Things to be this guy in real life? Or, pick whatever actor you want. I'm just picking somebody we were talking about earlier with Goonies and Space Stranger Things. Like, let's get this done. What are we waiting for here? Like, no one's watching your other crap. You may as well make one for the boys at this point. You know what I mean? We've done the girl brand stuff. It's kind of tanked for both of your franchises over there. You know what I mean? Time to hero up.
But we will see as we move forward. One of the things he did bring up, and this was also on the timeline, is this Molecule Man movie. Have you heard anything about this?
No, because I thought you were talking about Wonder Man or whatever the
it might be Wonder Man. Yeah, it might be Wonder Man.
All right, maybe there is a Molecule Man, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it might be. It might be Wonder Man. But have you seen the show, the franchise?
No, that's the one I was talking about a month ago, but I don't think I ever followed up on it. It was like it's behind the scenes of a superhero show in production. It's fiction, but it's about a superhero show going off the rails or some comedy nonsense.
Well, it's following like them doing like a C tier movie in a franchise of superhero movies. Like it's a C tier hero, and like how they're like trying to keep it from falling off the rails. And like you're seeing behind the scenes, like the first AD, the director, the producer, and like how everything's going. You see the money coming in and talking. He used my line where he's talking about there's above the line, there's below the line. Yep. He goes, I am the line.
The line. Solid line. Yeah. Solid line.
So Wonder Man is the exact same thing, but in movie format. It's not an actual superhero movie. It's about a guy who wants to be in a superhero movie and trying to get cast as Wonder Man.
All right. Sometimes I don't go in for the meta stuff like that, but if it's funny, it's an easier way to get in. You know what I mean?
That's what I think it is. I think it is definitely a comedy. Because it was like, I'm perfect to play this role as he's there trying to do his doing the casting and like reading his lines and stuff. It looks like it could be really funny and a lot of fun to watch. And it's just a different take on the superhero genre.
And I'm all for that at this point because I'm tired of they tried to stick all these other like B, C, D, like the Secret Invasion we got was trash. We got Miss Marvel. I enjoyed it, but I unequivocally recognize that most people did not like that, and it wasn't any good for most people. Like they do try to stick to a formula with these shows. So if they're thinking outside the box, again, with something like Werewolf by Night again, this is kind of like the flip of that. If it's a comedy, like and it's doing the meta thing, they should try to do different things. But you know what they need to do? They need to keep that damn budget under $250 million. Like that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the problem. Travis right here. I'm excited for Wonder Man seeing Trevor Slattery return. Oh, dude. All right, first of all, no. I hated everything about that. But again, it's good that we have people here, like Travis pops into our chat, that there is an audience for some of this stuff, and some people do enjoy it. But I think it all, like I just said, it needs to be done down to scale. Like you can't break the bank on something that might only hit for a quarter of your potential audience. You know what I mean? Hold on. Travis has another one here. This sounds like when they have a generic construction worker, Thor powers, Thunderstrike. Maybe, but I mean, again, if they sprinkle the comedy on it, dude, if I can get a laugh out of your show, I don't care if it's a bad show. Like I care when King Z makes me watch Secret Invasion, and I sit there and I go, all right, okay, that happened.
Well,
that
we
CGI
did need something
terrible
to review. We couldn't just do nothing.
I know, but then we figured out we could do nothing and have more topics, and it would be a better watch, as evidenced by people watching, But they should make different. If going forward, they should definitely make adjustments and changes if they want to try different modalities of like the programming and do more comic stuff that's intentionally comic and doesn't, like we were talking about, to circle back to Penguin for a second. You can have your joke when it's not going to undercut anything that required dramatic tension 5 seconds previous. You know what I mean? But if the whole show is wholesale comedy or mostly comedy like Scrubs, but then it punches you in the nuts every 15 minutes just to remind you that they can do that, like, yeah, then that also works. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm definitely all right with that. So there's a lot coming through with them still. I think where are we at with the Marvel schedule, dude? Is Captain America is no, the other guy that's Captain America. The Falcon movie is February.
February. Captain America: Brave New World is February. March we have Born Again, which I think is during those two movies are going to set the end of what we're looking at and actually start the mutant saga. Like
Born Again's a series, though, right?
Yep, that's the Daredevil series.
Okay. Yeah, and then Thunderbolt Asterisk is is that in the summer next year?
I believe that's summer next year as well. Yep. May or July. It's one of those two.
Yep. And then I think we have a little bit of a look going forward too, because I know I saw the commercial I saw the trailer for D23 Brazil, I think it was, and it had new looks at Ironheart that I hadn't seen before. So that show's still on their release schedule somewhere. I don't know where it landed. And is Armor Wars still there too?
No, Armor Wars is gone. That's
done altogether. Okay.
Well, or on hold, as we found out.
Nothing's ever really gone with these.
Yeah, it has. There is nothing that's on that. So
okay.
Yeah,
and then the Avengers stuff is years after.
26. I think it's like 26 and 27, or 2 and 27, and then Wonder Man is in 25 or 26. And Ironheart's in 26 as well. I think it's a movie.
Oh, did they crunch all their stuff together to put it to a movie? I thought it was still a series format. Interesting.
And the thing is,
interesting if it goes to theater.
Both Ironheart and Wonder Man have been in the can. Like they've been done for a while. They just didn't have a time to release it.
Yeah, for sure. We got two comments here from Travis very quick. That's why I'm concerned about Cap 4. I don't think enough people know who people like Isaiah Bradley are. True. That will be a sticking point for a lot of people in the plot. When the marketing has communicated that Harrison Ford is playing William Hurt. No, they did make the joke about shaving the mustache. So, I mean, it might be a little in-joke, but it's probably not. To the normies, they don't know who Thunderbolt Ross is. That's a good point. That's true. But I think, I don't know if enough normies were showing up for not Chris Evans Captain America anyway, because I think that kind of brand confusion exists for people that if you go to the movies once a month and you bring your kids to the next superhero thing, and they're like, Daddy, we're going to go see the Hulk. We're going to go see Captain America. And then the Hulk is red and it's, not Chris Evans playing Captain America and holding the shield. Wait, Captain America has like bionic wings now? Like that might not get as much of a return as people are looking at. So that's a good point. And then I see the other comment here, Travis, hold on. For Blade, they should do a special presentation with something small like him protecting a family from vampires in a church than John. Dude, sold me on a Blade Punisher team up. Dude, they should we've said this before. We've said it a million times. Take Blade, put him in a building, lock him in, get him to the top or the bottom raid style, and just have him sword slinging vamps for 90 minutes. Add the Punisher in there somewhere for the reluctant crossover team up and take my money. Take my money. This isn't difficult. The problem is they like difficult now. They're allergic to making easy money. They are still convinced that somehow, some way, that putting the Marvels together in that building killing vampires is the better play. Like, we're going to get that movie before we get a Blade Punisher team up. Guaranteed. It's disappointing, but it's reality. I hate it. Hate reality right now. But yeah. Something about Cap 4 doesn't look like a film. It looks like an episode of The Blacklist. But dude, because again, they're trying to ape everything that made Winter Soldier good. Like, that's the vibe they're going for. The president doesn't know there's somebody close in his circle that's going to get, like, we've done that. Like, we've effing done. The Secret Invasion tried that too. And that was awful. Terrible. It was so bad. Dude, do you remember that chick's arm at the end of the show? Like, they spent all the budget on the aerial battle. So when they had to animate her Super Skrull powers, she had the one Deformo arm for $280 million. Like, dude, we have After Effects on our computers that can run the aerial battle for like $100 a year. Like, where do they spend the $280 million? Where did the Acolytes spend $290 million? Like, I don't get it. Oh, I know where it went, but I mean, like, they didn't spend it. That's for damn sure. It's just sad. It's just sad. We're up against our hour, so we save out writing advice maybe for a holdover topic again.
Sure.
You know, we do our thing. Cool.
Yeah.
And then I would like to extend my gratitude for everybody that chimed in. Travis, always a pleasure to see you do it. Always with the sometimes hot takes tonight with a bunch of stuff I didn't like, but you know, you're free to express those bad taste takes here, I guess. Not, I'm just kidding. You can like what you like. You and King Z probably have a lot in common because King Z likes a lot of crap too. He does. He really does. It's weird when Marvel Universe yet it's generic political. Sometimes it feels weird. That's what I mean. Like, there's ways that they can include those things in there, but this is a case of you need intelligent people writing intelligent stories. You know what I mean? You can't expect somebody that isn't well read or well produced in political thrillers or things like that to then turn around and tell you a complex, nuanced Tom Clancy level political thriller story. It just doesn't. You can see it. Like the proof is in the literal pudding when you get there. But all right, King Z, why don't you wrap us up with one of those thoughtful and profound outros that you're so good at? Thanks, everybody.
Well, see ya.